Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is The Narrow Road Between Desires by Patrick Rothfuss. Is it just me, or did books used to always be the same price and now some are more expensive than others? Patrick Rothfuss, an amazingly famous writer. If you read fantasy, you will have heard of him and probably read his books. Currently, he is most famous for not releasing the third book in his trilogy, The Name of the Wind, but he has released this, is it a novella? What do you class as? I think it's a novella. This book is based on a short story which was in a collection of short stories with George R. R. Martin, but he has extended the work. This had so many mixed reviews on Goodreads. I was shocked. I bought it before I read the reviews. I also read it before I read the reviews. Some people are brutal, I have to say, and some people are very kind. I'm going to say I'm in the middle. Yes, of course I would like Patrick Rothfuss to bring out the third book. Honestly, if he doesn't, he doesn't. At this point, I feel sorry for him as a writer. It's going to be really hard to release that third book with so much time lapsed. So much has changed in writing that some things in those books are maybe not going to gel so well as they once did. So I do feel sorry for him. He has dug himself into a massive hole because it has to be perfect because people have waited so long. So I do feel sorry for him, but does not take away from the fact he is a really accomplished writer and the world he has made is great and I love his characters. So I still bought this novella. I have read it. Bast is one of my favorite characters, so I had to find out a story about Bast. As always with my book reviews, I will read you guys the blurb first. Before we get into that, don't forget if you like what you see to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Okay, blurb time. This stunning reimagining of the short story The Lightning Tree is a touching standalone story beautifully illustrated by Nate Taylor. Bast knows how to bargain. The give and take of a negotiation is as familiar to him as the in and out of breathing. To watch him trade is to watch an artist at work. But even a master's brush can slip. When he accepts a gift, taking something for nothing, Bast's whole world is knocked askew, for he knows how to bargain, but not how to owe. From dawn to midnight over the course of a single day, follow the Kinkler Chronicle's most charming fae as he schemes and sneaks, dancing into trouble back and out again with uncanny grace. The Narrow Road Between Desires is Bast's story. In it he traces the old ways of making and breaking, following his heart even when doing so goes against his better judgment. After all, what good is caution if it keeps him from danger and delight? So it sounds like a very traditional fae story. The fae are magical creatures who are known for being naughty. They're known for their tricks. They're known for not lying, but skirting the truth, because they can't lie to you, but they don't have to tell you the truth. You have got to pay a fae to get what you want. So it sounds delightful. It is very beautiful. This is the UK edition, so we have Bast at the front looking very sensual. The imagery in this, the drawings as it says by Nate Taylor, are really fantastic. I will show you some of my favourites from here, and just some I think you'll want to see if we're all honest. So let's get it out there first. Audiences who like Bast because of the reason a lot of us like fae, I am included in this, because they're supposed to be beautiful. Here is a Bast. But don't you worry, Nate has not left you out. If you are not into guys' pecs, they've got you covered, because we also have a beautiful lady right there. So don't you worry, there's someone in here for you all. We also have amazing styles like this one here. I mean, this gives me Neil Gaiman's Sandman vibes in that artwork. But my favourite piece of art in this entire book, and for those of you not new to my channel, if you've read this book, you may guess what it is. Comment down below if you guessed it before I showed you this picture. On page 79, please be upstanding for Princess Isingbun. And that is the cat. Look. Does that face give you princess vibes? I mean, it should. Look at it. Princess Isingbun. If you're not new to my channel, you'll know I have a bit of a thing. I seem to be collecting Japanese translated literature, mainly because it has cats on the cover. So I've got a problem. I'm aware of it. I'm not mad at it. So unlike my normal book reviews, I'm going to do this one spoiler free. It is a very short book, only 208 pages. So I'm going to do spoiler free. I apologize if anything slips, but I'm going to try my best to make this a spoiler free review. Let's begin. So I have a quote for you from page 40. Kostrel didn't even bother to dismay the ridiculous idea that he might be interested in the man who ran the second most successful tap room in a town so small it only had one inn. This is just a great example of showing. It's showing you that the inn is the only one in town and you still wouldn't class it as the best. So you can get a level without having to go into this massive paragraph of description on what that tap room is like. What is also interesting is this is a book of contradictions. So Bast is Fae, so you imagine them to be perfect. Now I will say I'm disappointed about the imperfection a tiny bit. You may have seen my videos on my tropes and cliches that I love and hate, especially regarding character. One of the things that I don't like is the perfect character. However, the Fae are sometimes an exception to this rule. I don't want them perfect, but you know, they're Fae. They're not real. But I'm saying this like fictional characters are real. Oh, brain. But it is a book entirely of contradictions because Bast is Fae. So when he's sneaking around the house and he's talking about how no one would ever know that he's there, and yet he describes it if he doesn't sneak, he plays the house and plays every creak, and yet Reshi obviously knows he's awake and meets him in the kitchen. He's described as being so perfect, and yet Bast seems to fail or stumble a lot. Page 74 is just the illustration of the cat, which is, I want to call her Princess Icing Bun. You saw the image on 79. Princess Icing Bun. Mwah. Lovely. Page 75. Why would you believe me the first time and not the second, he asked. I could tell she was a magic kitten, Viet said, rolling her eyes in exasperation. I just wanted to make sure, but she's not wearing a dress, so she doesn't have any ribbons or bows. How can you tell if she's a girl? Bast opened his mouth, then closed it again. This was not some farmer's child. Skip a bit. It was a very easy question. What wouldn't be easy was an angry mayor storming through the front door of the Waystone, demanding why his daughter suddenly knew the word penis. I just found this so funny. It's just, again, great showing of who Viet is about this kitten Icing Bun, and just Bast in general. He deals with mostly farmers' children who obviously know how to tell if an animal is female or male. They've had a lot of calves. They know how it works. But little Viet, who is a mayor's daughter, has no idea, and she only thinks you can tell someone's gender by what they wear, which we all know is definitely false. What you wear does not decide your gender, but it's just very sweet. Page 126. I'm sure he's turning a new leaf, Bast muttered, but if he's here when I get home, I'm eating dinner on the roof. This is in relation to a gentleman in this book who everyone in the town is frightened of. I just love that imagery of Bast sat on a roof eating his dinner. Page 143. He ignored a cat. He chased a squirrel. Excuse me? He ignored a cat? This is only here because I'm like, how very dare. Like, no, you don't ignore a cat. If a cat is in your presence, you give it the attentions. And finally, my last quote, page 173. Laughter was the true applause you offered to the world for being beautiful. I just think that is a beautiful quote and so true, and definitely something to live your life by, I suppose. Overall, what do we think of Patrick Rothfuss, the short story? It was £18.99. This is a novella. Now, most hardbacks in the UK used to be around £12, paperbacks were £8. Paperbacks were £8.99 always, and hardbacks were £12.99, £15. I'm starting to see a varying cost of books. Books used to always be the same cost, but now, so Patrick Rothfuss, this is £18.99. Brandon Sanderson's new hardback was £22, but standard books are still the same. So if I look at this, how much were you? Do you even tell me how much? So this paperback was £9.99. And we go into hardback. This hardback was £12.99. So those are quite standard. And yet some, like this one, are £18.99. I found the price rather steep for a novella. I'm not saying writers don't deserve pay, they definitely do, but I suppose different publishers are now pricing books differently. There's nothing wrong with that. I just got to get my head around the fact. But I thought that was quite pricey, but then it is a very beautiful book. Nate Taylor's designs are so lovely, so it is to pay a writer and an illustrator, so fair enough. It was good overall. I really like the main story in here because it's convoluted with shorts within shorts, which I'm not that keen on, but the main story about the boy and the family and the not so nice dad was really touching and written very well. The side stories seemed a bit distracting for me or a bit pointless. I know they were to show you some of Bast's life, but honestly I just wanted to read the main story more than anything else. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but for me as well, I was disappointed at the lack of smut. I really wanted smut when I picked this up. I know it's not described as smut, but it's Bast. He's Fae. One of my favourite memories from reading The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear is the sentence of when Bast and Reshi are in the inn and someone brings in a baby and Reshi's like, look at your daddy, and turns the baby towards Bast. For some reason that really stuck in my head. So I just see Bast as this person, he has some fun. And he does have fun in this. You don't get much detail on it, which is surprising considering in the main books we spent fucking ages, it felt like, with a Fae for Reshi to have a good time. And honestly, for me, that went on far too long. I know Matt thought it was fine. Me and his dad thought it just went on too long. I'm not against it. It just went on too long. We got zero smut in this, and I really wanted some smut. But it's not smut. Fair enough. My head turned it into something it wasn't. But I did feel like it was a nice read. It didn't grip me until the main story began. So the main story I loved, the other parts didn't grip me. But also I was reading it slowly because I needed to read this until I got the book club book that I'm reading. So I had to make it last, which I think probably made it read a little bit differently. I would recommend reading it if you are a Patrick Rothfuss lover. I have read a lot of reviews which say that if you've read The Lightning Tree, which I actually haven't yet, I got it ready to read, this is just the same story. So you're paying $18.99 for the same story, just with a few little bits. I know Matt said it is the exact same story, so not necessarily worth that much. But I will be handing it out to my fellow bookworms who read Patrick Rothfuss to read. They can then decide if they want to buy it. It's mainly a collector's item because of the illustrations and because it is a very nicely made book. So if you want to collect the Patrick Rothfuss series, obviously it's another one to add. If you want to just read a book, I'd say borrow it or see if you can get it secondhand later on. But if you are a die-hard Patrick Rothfuss fan, then definitely get it. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. It was in the middle. It was enjoyable. It wasn't necessarily memorable. It didn't shock me or surprise me. But 3 out of 5, it's a decent read. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post more bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!